Dude, you should flex the entire time.
Yeah.
Welcome to Mamiyamigos.
Baby, you and me been like a slow drought. Used to be on fire, now we're all burnt out.
Baby, you and me like a broken beat. How we got to here is a mystery.
So this episode,
Solid intro. Let's just cut to the chase here.
cut to the chase. Okay.
In layman's terms, the audio in this episode is, how would you say, fucked?
We don't know what happened. Yeah, we have no clue.
We felt like it was still a very strong episode, and we were able to recover most of it, so we felt like it was still worth airing, even with audio issues.
We had a lot of fun recording it, so hopefully you have a lot of fun listening to it. There will be no audio-only version, just because, you know, you should just look at our faces when you can't bear the sound anymore.
Our bad. It'll never happen again.
We promise.
We have learned our lesson, and it'll be better next time.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
So enjoy the episode. Have fun.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
From us to you.
Are you a Toyotathon or Honda Days guy? Oh, wait.
Honda.
You drive a Nissan now.
I drive a Nissan now,
All
though.
right, we're done.
We have 2 people on the couch. We actually have 4 people. 3 people on the couch, technically, and 1 in a chair alone by himself, like always.
Detached.
Detached from reality. Okay, who do we have on the couch? Please introduce yourselves. We all know you. But
Today we have 2 super film stars. Film superstars.
I'm Juan Martinez with Beers and Cameras.
Yeah.
And my name's Trev Leeee, and I work with the Darkroom.
So what do you guys do? What's your thing? What do you like?
Well, so Beers and Cameras has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we're here.
Okay.
We're here to celebrate Beers and Cameras.
Yeah.
Are we?
Right?
That's amazing. I didn't
Me, not so much, but everyone else, theoretically.
Well, I mean, you're here, so
begrudgingly you're here.
yeah.
Years, right?
It's been
Wow.
Damn, 9 years, dog. That's a long time. How many in dog years is that?
That's what's on 73.
That's 10:39.
I'm kind of a savant in that way. I can do shit like that in my head.
He's never pulled out math facts like that so fast in front of me. So you guys are very
Wait, so what is it?
28.
So you've been doing it for 28 dog years.
Yeah.
Dude, what was the conception of Beers and Camera?
It was honestly, I think we all do it. We all meet up with buddies at
Yeah.
a space, coffee shop, or over a beer, or at a restaurant, right? So we just did that.
But you started inviting more people to it.
Yeah, so we met up with, so started with Pachola. I met him on Craigslist.
What?
I bought a,
In the hookup section?
yeah,
Looking for?
yeah, camera nerd, she and camera nerd. But he sold me a lens, and then we kept in touch.
What lens?
It was a Zeiss 2-it 32 millimeter for Fuji, I believe.
Do you still have that lens?
No.
Oh my God. Is that
That was 9 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but I still have things from 9 years ago.
Like what?
This bustling personality.
Yeah.
So you met this random mysterious stranger on Craigslist.
Pacholo,
Okay.
Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let it be known. It's Pacholo, Francisco.
You met this mysterious stranger on Craigslist. You just
Yeah,
hit it
so
off.
I bought a lens off them. We met up at have you ever Starbucks? Is that like something I haven't?
I heard about it.
It's
yeah.
pretty boutique out here, I think.
Yeah.
We met up at Starbucks, and we would start talking. I bought the lens off of him. I already had his information, and then we just like would message each other about what we're shooting, and then then I think he bought a lens off of me, and then that kind of started the relationship.
Taboo you up.
Well, my wife, girlfriend at the time, was kind of a little like, who are you texting at 10:30 at night? But it's because it's
Giggling in bed.
you know, you can talk to like-minded people about something you're into at any time.
Yeah.
Like, you never want to stop talking about
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like, get down and talk about it whenever.
Oh, totally.
So we did. And then eventually, so we met up at Starbucks a couple times. Then we met a buddy named Adam, and he was in a beer. I moved into like the hipster part of San Diego called North Park, which is kind of where we're at, actually.
Oh, okay.
Which I think you could attest to it being pretty hipster.
Considering the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the Lafayette.
Pretty hipster place.
Nice.
It's really nice, actually.
A party going on here at the hotel.
Yeah, we're missing out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
This is where the party's at.
Oh, 100%.
And then we started to meet up at a brewery, and then it was like 5 of us, and then I started an Instagram account, and then I shared that information with our group, and here's like the password, like post up, and then I'm like, well, can you cuss on here?
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. That's on a podcast.
So I was like, well, fucking shit. I'm the only one posting this. So I changed the password and I just kept documenting and sharing, like, we're meeting up here again, right?
Yeah.
And then our group grew like that, and then that's it. And the rest is history.
9 years later, here we are.
Well, yeah, with a lot of help from the community and other leads, like, doing the same thing. It's kind of
Well, so how did you meet Trev, Mr. Trev Lee?
through a
It was a blind date.
film carton.
Yeah, from film cart.
Elliot, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elliot. We're here for you because of you.
Watching this.
He probably is. This is a big podcast.
No, I started he and I started the Beers and Cameras in Sacramento, which I think he only went to maybe 2.
Okay.
It's like, I think through networking and meeting people, we got new leads.
Okay.
And that's like a key part. Like, we have to know you. Because people reach out,
Right.
like, hey, I'm in Austin. I want to start Beers and Cameras.
Yeah.
I wish
No,
I
guys.
could.
You could be a serial killer.
That was
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, you could do that.
Did you work at the Darkroom at that point?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
I've been at the Darkroom for 9 years now. Yeah, we started a Beers and Cameras chapter in Sacramento. Did it for 5 years, I think it was.
Until COVID hit.
And that was one of the early chapters. There weren't many, but Sacramento was like one of the first ones.
I think so. Yeah.
Third,
I
yeah.
think LA may have added supplements before.
And we were the largest.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, you were. You and the largest.
Bigger isn't always better, Trev.
But yeah, we started LA first, I think, technically.
Yeah.
Which is a really incredibly kind of slow start, actually. Because LA, so like folks, if there's an event I don't know much about LA, but on the west part of LA, if you're in the kind of east part of LA, you don't make the track.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're south or north, like Adam Odke, reached out and he was interested in starting a chapter, so he started the LA chapter.
Like meeting Juan, starting the Beers and Cameras, that kind of got the ball rolling with these events that we've been doing for the past 7 years. Like we first started with the Paideia event.
Yeah.
That's basically the first time we ever worked with Juan, and it worked really well.
Take.
In Take, yeah. It worked really well because a lot of times in the lab processing, like the lab world, like some people won't go to an event if it's not their lab, it felt like. So it felt like adding like Beers and Cameras added like a third party element that it was kind of like
Like a safe space for people.
yeah, I feel like it was like a perfect mixture of being able to, and you just knew a lot of people. We had a lot of resources. It kind of worked really well.
That's interesting. I mean, 10 years ago, not a lot of people were shooting film. So it's interesting that like, you noticed that people wouldn't come because it wasn't like their lab.
I'm not saying that's 100% the thing.
Okay.
I just
So you're
think
lying.
I mean,
So you're just lying to us on our podcast to our faces.
well, I just think it just added like a whole new dimension to like another element to it.
Yeah, no, totally. It becomes like, it's like, you know, if it's sponsored by one thing, it's like, oh, okay. But if the thing you're about to go to is sponsored by multiple, you're like, oh, okay, there's a lot of people backing this. They believe in it or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you workshop anything, or was it always Beers and Cameras? Was it ever like Froyo and Cameras?
Funny. We called it Cameras and Beer forever. But then I was on Google and I was like setting it up one night and I put Beers and Cameras in the front. It should have been Cameras and Beer. So I kind of messed that up, but because I think Cameras and Beers flows better.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
So how many people know that little fact about cameras and
I think like Pacholo, I think Adam, and some of like the poor people in the beginning, like Anthony Fixin, he goes by Fixin on Instagram, who came to like, or 5 people just at a brewery having a beer talking about cameras.
So Sacramento became huge.
We averaged around 45, and we would do a photo walk and Beers and Cameras, and it was just once a month.
Was it in partnership with the Darkroom at that point, or was it just?
We were the sponsor.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like.
And you met Juan. That's why he allowed you to do.
Yeah. Why? How did you meet though? Like, how did you? Because you were.
I came up to Sac.
The first time we ever met, the first Beers and Cameras that we ever did there, he came up with Pocholo. That was the first time we met. We'd only talked through like Instagram and stuff like that.
Like DMs, like late at night. Wait, were you always analog first? Then no, because you were gonna you were gonna you bought a Fuji lens from this dude.
Yeah.
You were a Fuji fan.
Yeah. So right, but yeah, I wasn't a Fuji fan. I shot like an S. Yeah, I was that Sony NEX fan first.
Oh.
And then I had all the Sony.
Look what's on his shirt right now, guys.
Yes. But no, it was mostly digital. And then I only started shooting film because my wife wanted at our 2-year anniversary, she was asking for a film camera, and I bought her one. An F3. She still had that. Wow. So yeah, so she bought that F3, and then I ended up shooting it just as much as her, maybe not, probably a little more than her. And I'm like, dude, Fuji, the film was awesome. Like, it had that, what we all love about film, those aspects. And then, yeah, kind of the rest is history. But in San Diego, mind you, digital and film, I think the Sacramento chapter it was predominant. It was like 0 digital. Yeah.
You guys have worked together for a couple of years now, and you put together events in several cities outside of Sacramento, including like Chicago, like big cities.
We started in San Clemente.
Yeah.
It took a bit before we jumped.
I think together we've done 7 events.
And what do you think has been the big? What's the one that sticks out to you in your head as like
the first real big one was Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest undertaking because logistically it was hard. Like, remember the driving conditions. We also had...
We had to go far.
We also had like a group of 13 or 14 like special guests, which was fun, but also it's hard to wrangle adults. It's like if they're like kids or youth and you're like, dude, you just be like, you need to, like, we're leaving. But I can't, I can't like boss around grown adults. Like,
right, with their own will and their own vehicles.
Like still asleep or waiting for them.
Yeah.
But no,
it was coyote mating season too. Ask me how I know.
Because he made it with what? I don't know.
Sex stuff.
Let's move on.
No, I would say that was probably the biggest undertaking of the event. Like, it was our first big event outside of San Clemente, but our big numbers wise in Chicago.
Well, I mean, to go back to Joshua Tree, I think Joshua Tree was
like
fundamental to like the rest of anyone I know now and anyone I like contact on a regular basis or go on photo trips with was because of you guys, because of that specifically. Like,
I was thinking about that too.
I'm friends with Birgit, and I'm friends with David, and I'm friends with you guys, and I'm friends with Taylor, and all these people I'm just pumped to see constantly anytime I see them. And it's just like, honestly, I don't know, my life would be completely different if I
It was sort of this like nexus event of just everyone coming together.
Chris Chu was there.
Yeah, a lot.
He showed up like super late, and I was like, dude.
So remember when we drove away in the van? Like, I kind of felt like that's the one time I felt kind of like a star.
You felt like Tom Cruise.
Do you remember that? Like, everybody's outside of Joshua Tree's saloon, and we're all hanging out taking photos, and like the van pulls up, and you're driving it. We all hop on, and we're like all waving by. Like, that's the closest I've ever felt like.
That is true. I do remember being kind of wasted that night.
Yeah,
I do.
But Joshua Tree was, it was cool. We were camping. It had a lot of aspects. Like, I know Kevin Figling met with. Oh yeah, he was there. Like Charlize, and like they met and they made contact with Jason Roman, and like all these like kind of connections happened.
Formative, man.
Which I didn't suspect. I couldn't have imagined. But now looking back, you're right. It was
Is that what you're going for when you plan these events? Like, what's the real drive? That's kind of.
I would say it's kind of like a 3-part thing for us. But like when I first started at the Darkroom, I was the first to do social media for them. And you guys all know Phil, I think and he's been in the lab industry for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I think for the longest time, he saw just the lab stuff. And then once he and I and like us started feeling the community and like the interaction with the people we're actually doing stuff for and like developing, scanning, printing for, and it brought like a whole new dimension to like what we did, made us appreciate it more, and it made us want to like interact and connect with people a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember which one it was, but like a few events ago, I was talking to Phil, and I was just like, oh yeah, how's everything going? You know, we were just chatting, and he's like, dude, this has been like, once we started these events and once we started like connecting with the community in this way and engaging, it's been some of my favorite years in the industry. He's like, before I was out. I mean, I could be paraphrasing, sorry, Phil, but he was like, this has been his favorite time because it's just like, you get to go and meet film photographers and take pictures and just hang out and drink beer and or whiskey or whatever and just have fun.
Yeah, I mean, we're always trying to, like, one, it's just we want to meet the film community. I think there's like the broader sense of like meeting the film community as a whole, then also hanging out with our friends, like you guys.
Yeah.
Was really fun, and like the people that we know, and then also creating something that is that will live on past that, like this podcast we're doing, or and different stuff like that, where it's like, because the 99% of the people that follow us on Instagram can't make it to these events.
Right.
So it's like my thing is trying to find a way to also involve and engage the people that cannot make it, but also go to where they are. Like we did one in Cleveland, Ohio, Columbus. We've done one in Vegas. A lot of smaller ones where we go where like people, and we want to do more. And like people want us to go to New York, but honestly, there's a lot more smaller market, smaller cities that sound more appealing because the coast had it all.
Well, what is something that you know about working in the lab industry that like, cool, you have all the tools, but it doesn't mean blank. Like,
What gives the darkroom the edge?
yeah, thank you.
Damn.
I would say it's the workflow. Like Phil and Keith work really hard to make the lab very streamlined, to take out unnecessary things, to like we're constantly looking into how to do things better. Phil's very detail oriented and very particular with how things are done, and we can't mess up. Like we can't like if a roll gets mislabeled and it gets into our lab, like we have to get it right because it just creates a lot of issues. So it's like I just work hard to streamline that so it creates less issues.
That makes sense. I mean, anything I get back from you guys is like super crispy clean. Like I've been able to get any.
That is the
dust.
thing.
And at the end of the day, like who wants to clean up dust? No one.
That's the thing I really appreciate about the darkroom. Your dust control is better than any other lab I've ever seen. We're not going to just sit here and compliment the darkroom all night, though.
No, that's true. That's true.
I mean, for people, one of my favorite things to talk about with like scans, like on our Instagram, we'll get like tagged, like we just got our scans, love them, they'll compliment them or whatever. A customer does anything like that, my first thing is just to tell them like it's a two-way thing. Like the better exposure you give us, the better scan we'll give you. It's like the less work we like it.
Yeah, good. Blame the customer.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like the educational stuff that we create is based off of customer questions and like, why did my film turn out this way? And it's us helping them help us.
Yeah.
Where it's like we want them to know how to get the best possible exposure.
Yeah.
Therefore, we can give them the best possible results and not have to deal with like answering questions.
Yeah. One thing I really appreciate is that like the wealth of knowledge that exists on just your guys' website is also really good because like if you think about starting in film photography or photography in general, at some point you had to learn the tools of the trade somewhere at high school or whatever, and you would learn like all those exposure things or anything about film you would learn from someone right in front of you. But as that went away, as digital came in and kind of suffocated film to what it was for a while, like the only place you could get stuff is on the internet. And so curating and having all that information is a really great place. And, you know, there's also, you know, all the YouTubes and stuff, and the fact that you help out with, you know, that stuff and you're on platforms like that is fantastic.
Well, it's all, I mean, honestly, it's Phil and Keith, the owners, like they, from day one, just let me go, like just let me run wild with it.
It helps that you're a nerd for film.
Yes and no. I mean, when I first started, I didn't want to do anything with black and white. Phil was like, you have to shoot it all. You have to try it all. Like, and there's like a lot of things. Like, when I first started, I was learning. I was like right along with everyone else. Because I had shot film, but I hadn't shot it as broadly and as extensively as I have now. So, like, you know, if you look back at past things, like there's stuff that I messed up on. And then a week or two later would be like, I messed up on this. This is like, and it would explain and walk through. So I think there were a lot of growth in the beginning with our social media because I wasn't telling people how to do it. I was just being like, this is how I did it. And we were like,
that's really interesting.
Well, to close out this segment on the darkroom, what's next? What are you guys doing next? Can you say?
one thing we're really working hard on is we have a mobile app. We're always trying to make it as easy and as accessible. Like I can still look at all my photos from my scans from 2016 or 15. So
Why would you want to though?
But no, we've been working on our mobile app and streamlining that so people can order prints from them, that like really focusing on the younger generations that's getting into film, and most of them are on mobile devices much more. So that's why I'm putting a lot of focus on that. I also want to start doing more YouTube. That's something like you bring up. Like I've always done Instagram. I've started to notice that there's not enough opportunity to really delve into certain topics as much as I feel like I should, because I'm doing short form.
Sometimes you got to go deep.
But it's so much work. It makes me really appreciate what you guys do, because I did that Pentax 17 video, and it was, I think, 20 minutes long, and that was so much work. Like, it was so much work putting it together, splicing it up, and it's not even nearly as, like, intricate as what you guys do. But I would like to start doing one of those a month, and then building our social, since our social media has gotten so big, we don't need to focus on it as much. I feel like doing YouTube, we can build some
Expand further,
Can I pitch an idea?
Sure.
A mobile darkroom van that you drive around and people come to you and they get their shit developed.
That Trev drives around all over the U.S.
Trev drives around all over.
He's just never going to see his family ever again.
Over and just get your shit developed. And you have a little bell like an ice cream man.
They make it dirty negatives and dirty scans.
And people throw eggs at it.
I don't know. I believe in their streamlined nature. I bet they can make a really kick-ass man.
Have you ever gotten your car egged before?
No. People love me.
House.
Oh, yeah. Your house has been egged?
When I was in college.
You
Or
egged?
by another college house.
Okay. It probably feels pretty good to be a bird and lay a big-ass egg, don't you think?
Does it feel good at probably any other?
I guess so. Honestly, the things that we think about.
Yeah, absolutely staying.
To be a bird.
I think Jason needs some more wood for that's what I think. Oh my God.
We were just in Nuremberg, which is a pretty small town, all things considered, I guess, in Germany. And there's a lot of people there. Like, I think there's a pretty big community across Europe that wants these things to happen. You know, I think a lot of people would show up if you, set it up.
100%. When we were in Berlin, they're like, this needs to happen more. Nobody does this kind of thing. And literally all we did was like, hey, let's meet up and do a photo walk at night to a brewery. That was it. Super simple recipe. And we're getting such amazing feedback. We're like, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. Just visiting. This sounds amazing. The turnout's been amazing. We did it with Safe Light Berlin.
Oh, yeah.
A really cool brand out there. A really cool store. Really cool guys. So that's actually a really good point. I would love.
And the other thing I forget is that, like, to answer your question, yes, 100%.
You would go.
But
You're paying for the flight, though, right? First class.
Our boy Phil went.
all expenses paid. No, that's the thing that I kind of forget is that, like, Europe is, in retrospect to California, even in its own, or the United States in general, it's like, it's small. Like, people were coming 4 hours away, and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. We just did that today or whatever, or 3 hours to go see, your event in Germany. So it's like, yeah, it's so much easier to travel there. And so if
Via train
or via car, whatever their mode of transportation, it's so much easier to be like, oh shit, something in Berlin, cool. Something in Wetzlar, cool. Something in some other country, Norway, whatever,
It's
cool.
crazy.
It could happen. It could happen.
You could be in Frankfurt, land in Frankfurt, stay in Wetzlar or whatever, and go visit the headquarters of Leica, and then take a 7-hour train to Paris.
Yeah.
And on the train,
Or 7 hours.
Only 7. Or a flight.
Or you can fly, which is really cheap. But I'm just saying, you could be working on you could record something Wetzlar working on that podcast.
Podcast, bro. Podcast on the train.
The train there, it's like, I've never taken trains before until I went to Europe, and it's like freaking amazing.
Yeah, they got a great network.
Yeah, it's true. Everybody's respectful, and so in Germany and how do you get it? Yeah, you got my gears training.
Well, something I wanted to touch on.
Sorry.
Something I wanted to touch on about beers and cameras, and I mean, we can cut this if it's like uncomfortable, but you don't make any money off of it, right?
Yeah, I know. But
I mean, you do this because
Yeah.
it's a community-driven thing.
1,000,000%. Our leads in the different states, they do it because they're passionate about it. You know, we had a couple. Tony from Atlanta flew in for this event. I have not sent him any, paycheck. He doesn't get a W-9.
Yeah. Well, you started this, and I'm sure you haven't, at least not very much, collected any paycheck from the 10 years you've been doing it.
100,000 here and there.
But still, it's like it's a very community-driven, just like
100%.
let's get together and do something.
Yeah, I think the way I get paid for my time is just like the connections with people and networking, and like that's the beautiful part. Like who you meet. I was talking to Kevin Fickling today at the meetup, and he agrees with me. Like he's a big networker kind of guy, and it's like these opportunities, just one thing leads to another. You just don't even know.
Oh, totally.
Do you want to keep talking about film stuff all night, or do we want to talk about other shit?
Yeah, we can talk about whatever we want.
So why don't you shoot digital? I'm actually kind of curious. Like, do you guys ever?
That's still photography, dog.
What use it film stuff?
Okay, broad.
So that's
Broader. Yeah, we could. I mean, we can. If you really want to,
you can cut this out. But I'm curious. Like, do you guys have you guys been like digital curious?
He's
Digital curious?
You clearly use digital products for your production, but have you thought about expanding to like digital products for work? Your work.
Why'd you lick your lips and look at me?
Should I not be talking about this right now? I'm just,
no.
Curious.
I just know because I don't know how much he wants to divulge, but I know a lot.
It's like a secret.
I shoot everything digital.
I don't know. Someone did a Hasselblad video recently.
But Hasselblad makes film, but you get digital Hasselblad.
He has that X2D.
You do?
Yeah.
Are you not allowed to disclose?
No, I can talk about it.
We'll need a video about it, so it's out
I just haven't seen it.
because he doesn't watch you.
Thanks. Well, when you do watch it, click on all the ads.
Please.
Digital's cool. I think it has some applications, but for me, film is still the thing.
Yeah.
It just depends what you're doing. You know, when do you shoot film versus when do you shoot digital? That was a question. Yeah. I made strong eye contact with him. I do question. Yeah, here's a question for you.
And he did not lick his lips.
No, that's a good point.
Trev, what about you? Trev, you shoot a lot of, or at least you used to shoot a lot of weddings, and you've shot some weddings.
He shot my wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, we should get into that.
We just kind of wish, after looking at it, like I liked all the film and digital, but we all agreed we should have just shot it more film because we liking almost all the films.
Is that really? Yeah, really?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, yeah.
I mean, the stuff that I look back on are the film photos for sure.
What was your strategy going into the wedding? Because obviously when you shoot a wedding, you can only do it once, right?
Well, I mean, I've shot a lot of weddings only film, and then I actually feel like it's better to commit to one or the other. It's kind of hard to bounce back because it's a different process and a knowledge of how you can do it. So bouncing back and forth outside of the fact that you just have more cameras that you're dealing with is kind of a pain. But film, I actually feel more comfortable shooting film most of the time than digital because, for instance, when I shot weddings in Yosemite, if we had really bad lighting, I would just open up I would basically lean on the latitude of portrait because that's mainly what I shot. Where it's with digital, I would have to think about lighting, fill flash, all the stuff where I just had so much more forgiveness in the latitude of the film itself rather than with digital. I was trying not to blow out highlights and then I was doing an insane amount of editing in the post compared to with film. I just knew that I had to get my exposure right, and then I was almost always happy with that, and I didn't have to do hardly anything to it.
Yeah.
You know,
So beautiful.
was the most interesting thing looking at through all your wedding photos is seeing how different all three portraits looked.
That is also true.
Because he had a green
Yeah.
suit on, and in my opinion, Portra 800 and 160 were, while they both looked different,
They did. Yeah. All the
they were
different.
by far the best. And then Portra 400 was just dragging behind. It was all disappointing with it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really
In
weird.
comparison to
Totally. I do. Yeah. The 160, I do remember the 160 being damn, that's 160? Oh, okay.
It's interesting how different all those film stocks look because they come from different backgrounds. I think it's public knowledge that the 800 is from the
It's like
Vision
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 3.
2 or something.
Yeah, Vision 2, Vision 3.
I don't know where Portra 400 comes from, but 160 is like their newest one, right?
Yeah.
And there's a ton of technology in that one. A question I've been getting a lot is if you're in a slump, a photographic slump of any kind, how do you get out of it?
I think about this often because, I mean, I go through various, I think a lot of people do, but I go through various slumps for various reasons. Like one, working for the Darkroom consumes my creative life in the sense of like I'm always thinking about stuff for the Darkroom. So one will have a dedicated camera that's just for me. Like typically the FM3A is mainly what I shoot for myself. And if someone's in like a slump, guys like giving a role assignment, like something that would be like fun that I'm gonna do, like getting me out, like just being like, this role I'll only do when I'm just taking a morning walk or evening or going out and doing something with it. And it kind of puts me in a spot that's something I normally wouldn't do. Because a lot of times my favorite photos are stuff that I don't plan for.
Maybe a good way to get out of a slump is just carry a camera with you for evening walks. You're walking your dog or something.
And limitation. If you're in a slump, don't have like 5 lenses, 2 cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're in a slump, 1 camera, 1 lens, in my opinion, black and white. Black and white strips like this layer of control because like if you don't like a color, it doesn't matter because you don't see it. I feel like black and white makes you see light, composition, emotion more compared to color. You can get kind of lazy and just focus only on making something strong with color, if that makes sense.
So introduce more limitation is a good way to get out of a slump. I honestly, I'd probably agree with that. Yeah, that's pretty good advice. What about you, Juan? You got anything half as good?
No, I think similarly, I think he's right. I don't shoot black and white nearly as much as anybody else does. I feel like but I think it's mainly because I mainly shoot my family and whatnot, and it's like documenting what I'm seeing, and it's not in black and white, it's in color. So I gravitate towards color. But I think every day I shoot, like I literally shoot. I think having like kids really helps with that.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like,
So you're saying to get out of a slump, have kids?
dude, that's how you get in a. That's why I can't afford to film anymore because of kids.
That's why you shoot digital, kids.
No, yeah. And well, to be honest, I shoot digital and film, right? So I do both, and I just grab one. I always have a camera with me. Shoot, just shoot. Yeah, just shoot stuff that interests you. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it doesn't make it onto Instagram. It doesn't make it onto any like Tumblr. It doesn't make it onto like a portfolio. It's just shooting. It's just.
No one owns that.
Maybe not. No, it definitely doesn't make it to that. But it's just honestly shooting for yourself, just to shoot, to document. When you have kids, though, you have this, like, you know how there's like barriers of entry, like what makes a good photo? I think you have a kid, it's like my kid's in it, done. Like, it's a good photo. Like, for me, because down the line, like, I'm gonna appreciate this photo and it's for me. So that's all I need is for it to be a photo of my kid. So I don't ever think I'm in a slump, because I'm like, there's always something to document.
Yeah. Well, that's the perfect thing about photography in general, is that just like you express yourself in any way. No, you can shoot whatever the hell you want to shoot. Like, if you want to shoot wallpaper for the rest of your life, you can do it. Oh, that's cool. Wallpaper's dope.
It's what's valuable to you.
Totally. That's it. Yeah. So for me, because I'm kids, that immediately is the focus of mine.
So, are there any last words that you would like to say here on this podcast?
Anything you want to
anything you want to plug, anything you want to tell the world about, anything that honestly is just you're dying to get out off your chest.
I just invented something.
You invented something.
What the fuck? We've been going for fucking 2 hours and you never talked about that once.
I know, there's no time.
The time now. No, the time is no.
Literally, I invented a watch complication.
A watch?
It's a done scene, actually.
No.
Complication sounds like a bad thing.
It can, but in horology.
What in the fuck did you just call me?
In horology, it's not. It's a utility, right? So, yeah, I came up with a photography complication for a watch.
That's pretty fucking dope.
And I panned it, and it's coming out next. The final prototype should be out next month.
Where can people find that?
No, it's called Notice.
Notice. Okay. So how did you come up with this idea? Or, I mean, you seem like a watch guy. So.
Yeah, so it's basically distilling the Sunny 16 rule into a bezel complication. So it's basically distilling like
Oh, damn.
So you basically align and you're like, okay, I'm shooting ISO 100 film. I'm at f5.5.6, and then you slide it over to 5.6, and it's going to point to what shutter speed you should be setting your M3 to based on it's a sunny day or a cloudy day.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you're pushing film, be like, okay, I'm shooting ISO 200 film, but pushing it to stop. So let me look at the 400 speed, and then you look at the bottom, and it's going to say the equivalent of what you should be shooting the camera at based on 400 speed film. That
Damn. So then how did you get hooked up? That's like sick. How did you get hooked up with Notice?
Yeah, so notice they're a 7-year-old company or so, and they were coming out, and I became friends with them really early on. We had like a meetup in North Park Brewing, actually, kind of close where we were at today, and it was at first like watch meetup, and yeah, ever since then we've been friends. And I told them about the idea. They're like, "Shut up, we're gonna make it. Don't tell us anymore. We love it. Let us do something unique." So it's a very unique watch. It's like not a dress watch, not a chronograph, not a tachymeter, not a diver's watch, not a pilot's watch. It's, there's like certain genres that
totally.
that watches fall into.
Yeah.
But it's a unique utility. It's a unique tool watch, and it will do that. Yeah, we'll get
And then also tell you the time.
Yeah, tell you the time and all that kind of stuff. It's really easy to integrate. So Notice is coming out with the watch.
So what's cool about the watch that he had is like a lot of times when we do that with the Darkroom, like talk about Sunday 16, people aren't good at like being like, oh, if it's supposed to be a 60th, but I want it to go to 11, like how you would change it.
Yeah.
What is it going to change?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
People that have that, like use that watch might not use it to figure out what it is, but more so to figure out what's the in between. Like if they want to stop, if they want to open up their aperture, and then how to stop down in their shutter speed, because you can kind of like see what that looks like.
Oh yeah,
Totally right. Because like size 16, as a rule, it's like cool. Well, what if I want to shoot not at 16?
Yeah, and you have to like, you're like,
do the math.
I've been 125th.
That's a good reference. It's like
Does this watch have a light meter built into it? Or?
No. So my patent covers 8 different iterations. It'll cover like the fully mechanical, like just analog, like it'll point to tell you what time based on the Sunday 16 rule and based on the EV values that we set it to. But also quartz variant. So if you built in a light meter into the watch, and that's actually giving you a reading, that's also covered. We even have, as far as like if it's an app on your Apple Watch, that you can be like, oh, I'm gonna set it to this, and it can be very interactive at that point actually, because like you get to be touching the perimeter of your Apple Watch to set the aperture, and the inside of it could be like, well, I already set it to whatever ISO I want. And at that point, you're a little more flexible because like a mechanical watch is obviously set with physical attributes that you can't just change.
Like how many years did that take for you to get to this point?
Yeah, while I don't know. Like I came up with that idea a while ago. Well, like let's say 4 years ago. Let's say the idea like
4 years
of having it, but then I talked to some friends and I'm like, I should probably patent this, right? And they're like, yeah, dude, what do you think you have to patent this before you come out? And that process was another, and then money as well.
Yeah, totally.
No, I'm excited. Making a photo takes 3 things, right? Exposure triangle. Like,
yeah.
shutter speed, how sensitive your film is. Or
some people say 4. Heart is the 4.
Okay, there you go. And that's like, that's it. It's on your wrist, and you're wearing it every day, and it tells the time, and it also has a direct correlation with something that you're into.
Oh shit, Trevs here. Glad I invented any watches.
Pass.
What about any like personal projects, or obviously you work for the Darkroom?
I mean, I don't have any right now other than like the red skill thing they were talking about. I mean, I think on like the creative end of like the Darkroom, a lot of it is, for me personally, is just more relaxing and just doing stuff that I like. And that's just like, I think you guys could relate to this. Like my favorite thing is just getting out, being somewhere new, photographing it. And like I don't think there's anything more fun for me than just aimlessly walking and seeing things and photographing.
Finding things,
regardless of what it is or where it's at. And so I think like making time and space for that, and then like doing it personally by myself, like, or with my daughter or with friends, that's just the stuff that I really enjoy. And I feel like if I'm doing that, like that, typically photographically, like I have stuff that I like, but I feel like that stuff's more like, I feel like the actual act of getting out is more rewarding than the photos I get typically with it. Like sometimes
I feel you. I'm right there.
I mean, I really like getting a good photo, but like I think when it comes down to it, it's like like Joshua Tree, like it's not like I have like a photo that I'm so glad that happens to the photo.
Yeah.
It's like the people, the memories, stuff like that.
Yeah, memes for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
think,
right there with you, man.
I think it's more of that. I mean, like everything that we talk about, like possibly doing or
Well, you guys talk?
no, us.
Oh, collectively.
I mean, like obviously, like when we did the solar eclipse, like we had some
we were there.
memorable
You remember
photos.
I wasn't invited.
We were definitely there.
Oh yeah,
I'm still at your wedding.
You were at my wedding.
It's a habit.
And I was also there.
Yeah.
well, you were out for the other stuff.
Yeah.
You're with us in spirit.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this Mamiyamigos podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the Darkroom and Beers and Camera being here, and just supporting fucking film photography.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
That's what needs to happen. You know, we want to keep this shit alive.
You guys are real ones.
Real.
Thank you
Okay.
for tuning in.
And